Good morning, friends. Myself, Dr. Nidhi Darbari, on My Education Treasure. Today, in my present video, I am going to discuss about method, device, technique, strategy, and tactics of teaching. Teaching is a dynamic and well-planned process. Its objective is to acquire maximum learning experiences. In order to achieve this great objective, various methods and techniques based on psychological researches are used. These different strategies make his teaching interesting, effective, and a successful one. Apart from following the broad principles of education, a teacher is to make use of certain devices and techniques in order to overcome the possible hurdles during the act of teaching. The devices make teaching interesting as well as a stimulating affair. Teaching method. Teaching method is a style of the presentation of content in the classroom. M. Verma has defined the term method in the following manner. Method is an abstract as logical entities that we can distinguish between manner and method. In reality, they form an organic whole, and matter determines method analogously as objectives determine means. Content and spirit determines method. The common teaching matter may be of three literature. M. Verma has presented broad meaning of the term method. According to him, matter is important for determining methods. They can be classified under three heads: telling method, that is lecture, questioning and discussion; showing method, that is demonstration or excursion; and doing method, which means project, role playing and practical. Browdy has stated that method refers to the formal structure of the sequence of acts commonly denoted by instruction. The term method covers both strategy and tactics of teaching and involves the choice of what is to be taught and in which order is it to be presented. Method and device. Method has wider scope than device. Method refers to the formal structure of the sequence of acts commonly denoted by instruction. It is a style of presentation of content in the classroom. Method is more general. It includes techniques also. The teaching techniques are ways of implementing a method. Different devices may be employed within one method. Device is an external mode of form which instructions may from time to time assume. Method is a systematized way of doing something for effective control. Method is never something outside the material to which the teacher often resorts from time to time. Teaching strategy. Teaching strategy is the means to achieve learning objectives. E. Stones and S. Morris have defined the term teaching strategy comprehensively in the following manner. Teaching strategy is a generalized plan for a lesson which includes structure, desired learning behavior in terms of goals of instruction, and an outline of planned tactics necessary to implement the strategy. The lesson strategy is a part of a larger development scheme. This definition of teaching strategy involves two aspects: a generalized plan for a prosecution of lesson, and it includes a desired learner behavior in terms of goals of instruction. He has further explained the meaning of a lesson. It is part of a development scheme of the curriculum, and plan includes an outline of tactics of teaching which help in implementing the strategy. Teaching strategy seeks to establish the relationship between teaching and learning in view of achieving the objectives. Teaching strategies include broad method instruction, example, elector strategy, case study strategy, programmed instruction strategy, etc. They can be regarded as broad and a way of operation. Method and technique. Remember that there is lot of difference between a method and a technique. Teaching methods are directly linked with teaching objectives. Hence, each teaching method decides the direction and speed of the teaching. Contrary to this, the teaching technique is not directly linked with the teaching objective, but it is linked with the teaching method. In other words, the teaching method is directly linked with the teaching objective, while teaching techniques is indirectly. In spite of this, in teaching method, the feeling of how works, but the main spirit of teaching technique is with what. Not only this, teaching method also emphasizes proper and systematic planning of the content, while teaching technique emphasizes psychological and logical aspects and hints to those ways by which the teaching can be made impressive. Teaching tactics. The success of the teaching depends on its planning. A skilled teacher, while planning, thinks carefully about the teaching system, its structure, strategy, and tactics before presenting the contents to the pupils. The teaching tactics are the ways of implementing a teaching strategy. Different types of tactics are used in the same teaching strategy. The tactics are more concerned with the creating appropriate learning structure. Remember that the teaching tactics means that a method with which new knowledge is marked in the minds of the pupils permanently. Hence, for qualitative development of teaching, keeping in view the structure of learning, and by using proper teaching strategy and tactics, he changes his behavior in such a way according to the changed condition during teaching that he may achieve the teaching objective as a result of verbal and non-verbal ones and maximum interaction. From this point of view, teaching tactics are more comprehensive than teaching strategies. In other words, under a single teaching strategy, by using one or more teaching tactics, the lesson can be made easy, clear, and understandable. A tactic or strategy is a unit of teacher behavior which is helpful for achieving instructional objectives. A tactics may range from non-verbal behavior of a teacher. In preparing an instruction, attempt is made to establish relationship among tactics, strategies, teachers' behavior, objectives of education, and the learners. The instructional behavior consists of chain of three links: observing, accepting, and acting function of teaching. While explaining the meaning of teaching tactics, Stone and Morrison wrote, teaching tactics is a goal linked influencing the behavior of the teacher. It includes the way he behaves in instructional situation and how he fulfills the various instructional goals with the students of the class and how the teacher, the students and the subject matter interacts. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Types of teaching strategies. The teaching strategies are used for achieving the teaching goals. Remember that while using some of the teaching strategies, the teacher remains active and the pupils are passive audience. It results in the non-development of all the potentialities of the pupil. Such a situation needs some change in this teacher-centered teaching strategy so that more and more learning experiences pupils may gain and the teaching objective may be achieved conveniently by bringing desired change in the behavior. The teaching strategies are divided into two categories, keeping in view the classroom environment, situation, and the teacher's attitude. They are the democratic strategy and the autocratic strategy. The democratic strategies. The democratic strategies are child-centered. The pupils determine themselves the content. In the use of these strategies, the pupil's place is primary and that of teachers is secondary. As a result of its use, maximum interaction occurs between the pupils and the teacher. This develops their constructive capacities in accordance to the interest, attitudes, capacities, abilities, needs, and mental level of the pupil. Democratic strategies are objective. Hence, the genius pupils like them and gain advantages to the maximum. The main peculiarity of these strategies is that the maximum social development is possible through these strategies. The following strategies are included in the democratic category of strategies: discussion, discovery, heurism, project, review, assignment, tutorial group, brainstorming, role playing, independent study, and sensitivity. Autocratic strategies. Autocratic strategies are traditional teaching strategies. They are content centered and teacher centered. While using these strategies, the teacher's place is primary and the pupil is secondary. The teacher determines the content himself, and by considering himself an ideal and by suppressing pupils' interest, attitude, capacities, abilities, and needs, he tries to impose knowledge forcibly from outside in the minds of the pupils. In other words, while using such strategies, a teacher with narrow attitude may be active, but all the pupils of his class remain passive audience out of fear, and they go on obeying his instructions in spite of incorrect instructions. In such a situation, they don't have any freedom for their expression. Hence, in these autocratic strategies, only mental development is emphasized for achieving cognitive objective, and group development is not cared for at all. Autocratic teaching strategies include lecture, demonstration, theoretical, programmed instruction are included. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.